Yandy stood in the courtroom, her face pale but her resolve firm. The emotional exhaustion clung to her like a second skin, but she didn't flinch. With a trembling voice masked in courage, she faced the judge. "I'm requesting an extension to secure the bail funds," she said clearly, each word echoing off the walls. "He doesn't deserve to sit in a cage one moment longer." The room went silent. The judge narrowed her eyes, assessing the desperation on Yandy's face, then finally nodded. "You have until the end of the day." Relief swept over her like a tidal wave. She didn't wait. She turned and ran, almost colliding with the doors as a crowd of reporters and fans waiting outside surged forward. Cameras flashed like lightning. Fans chanted her name. Tasha K was already live streaming, and as the doors opened, her phone was raised high, capturing every second. On the steps, Mena stood like a statue, arms crossed, expression unreadable. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. Tasha K moved fast, her mic cutting through the noise. "Erica, how do you feel about what's happening?" she asked breathlessly. Erica didn't even look at her. Her eyes stayed on the courthouse doors. "Justice doesn't happen instantly," she said coolly. "But the truth, it always finds its way, especially when people think they're hiding." Meanwhile, just outside the courthouse parking lot, Yandy leapt into a waiting black SUV. Inside, Cease and Rashida sat gripping a manila envelope, their expressions a mix of urgency and concern. Yandy snatched the envelope, her hands shaking uncontrollably. "You got it," she whispered. Cease nodded. "Double quotes everything," she said. "It's enough." Rashida placed a hand on her knee. "Don't think about the cameras or the blogs, or what anyone else says. Just go get your man." Yandy's eyes filled with tears. "I swear, I'm going to make this right," she whispered. Cease didn't blink. "We don't leave each other behind. Never have, never will." Back at the precinct, Mendeecees sat in his holding cell, staring at the floor. The overhead light flickered. He had no sense of time anymore. Every minute felt like an hour. The chill in the air seeped into his bones. Then he heard it, the heavy door swinging open and the sound of hurried footsteps. When he looked up, Yandy was there, out of breath, clutching the bail papers in her hand like they were a lifeline. The officer barely said a word before removing the cuffs. The clink of the chains hitting the floor was deafening. For a long second, Mendeecees just stared at her, no words, just raw emotion. And then she broke, her arms wrapped around him, and he held her like she was air. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Every tear was an apology. Every breath was forgiveness. The weight of everything they had hidden from the world came crashing down, and still, they held each other. Outside, a local news crew captured the reunion from across the parking lot. Cameras zoomed in. Microphones picked out the sniffles and soft sobs. Tasha K's livestream caught it from another angle, her voice narrating over the footage. "This, right here, this is what truth does. This is what exposure feels like. And now the world sees it too." Her words weren't just for clicks anymore. They were a statement, a warning that nothing would be kept quiet again. As Yandy and Mendeecees stepped out into the whirlwind of cameras, reporters shouted questions, fans screamed, security tried to hold the chaos back. But the two of them kept walking, hand in hand. Yandy caught a glimpse of Erica standing on the courthouse steps again. Her hair blew in the wind like a movie scene. Their eyes met, not as enemies, but as survivors. Yandy raised a hand, not in surrender, not in shame, in acknowledgement of what had been, of what had changed. That night, the cast received urgent calls from production. They were filming again immediately, not for drama, not for ratings, this was for truth. The set was stripped down to its bare bones, one couch, 3 chairs. No champagne, no confessional lighting, just raw lights and reality. Erica sat center stage, calm, centered, almost unrecognizable in her stillness. Yandy took one side, Mendeecees the other. The silence was electric, no one spoke, no one moved. Then Erica leaned in, her voice steady. "We've all seen how quickly loyalty can crumble. But tonight, we're not going to pretend. Tonight, we speak." The cameras zoomed in as Yandy exhaled shakily. "I failed him," she said. "I thought I was doing what was best. I thought hiding the truth meant protecting him. But I wasn't protecting anyone. I was running." Mendeecees turned to her slowly. "You don't have to run anymore," he said softly. "We start over from the truth." The silence after that was heavier than any explosion. In the audience, crew members wiped their eyes. Even security guards stood still. This wasn't a reunion, this wasn't a confession. This was a reckoning. Backstage, the room felt like a vacuum. No sound, no distraction. Just a lingering weight of everything that had just been said. Erica moved slowly, walking past cables, crew, and hushed whispers to find Yandy, who sat alone on a corner stool with her head bowed, hands clasped together so tight her knuckles had turned white. For a long second, Erica didn't say a word. Then, she gently touched Yandy's shoulder. Yandy looked up, her eyes still glassy. "Thank you for being brave," Erica said quietly. Yandy managed a small, sad smile. "Thank you for forcing me to be." They shared a long, quiet moment. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't for show. It was real, the kind of real that no script could replicate across the set. Mendeecees stood by himself, staring out into the empty chairs, where the rest of the cast would soon gather. He looked like a man torn between two timelines, the one that had just collapsed around him, and the one he wasn't sure how to rebuild. One of the producers walked past and whispered, "We might not air this live, it's too raw." But someone else countered, "This is exactly why people watch." The truth was bleeding through the frame, and nobody wanted to stop it. Meanwhile, Tasha K sat in the green room, phone in hand, voice recorder rolling, scrolling through thousands of live comments. Her followers weren't just watching, they were glued. "This is what we've been waiting for," she whispered into her mic. "Not fights, not fake tears, this is revolution." And whether people loved her or hated her, they were listening. Back on stage, the second segment was underway. The entire cast had returned, seated now in a wide circle. At folding chairs, the glitz stripped away. Fedra, Papoose, Cease, Rashida, all of them were present, but no one dared speak first. Finally, Erica turned back to the center and said, "I used my voice to expose the lies, but I didn't realize how much pain that would cause." She turned to Yandy again, eyes full of sincerity. "I'm sorry for the way I did it, Yandy." Swallowed hard, she had been waiting for those words. "I know," she said, her voice low but steady. "I know you thought you were doing the right thing, and maybe you were. But the way it hit me, it cracked something I wasn't ready to face." Her voice trembled. "I didn't just hide the truth from the world, I hid it from myself." Mendeecees leaned forward, his voice hoarse but clear. "We've all made mistakes," he said. "But truth without compassion is just another kind of betrayal. It breaks more than it builds." His words sank deep, and for the first time all night, the room didn't feel fractured. It felt unified. Everyone understood. Everyone had carried their own weight of silence. Now, they were setting it down. In the corner, Rashida stood up. She wasn't crying, she was composed, but her tone was sharp. "We've all been playing roles, saying what we think fans want to hear, but that's over." She looked at the producers. "This is our story, our real story, let us tell it." Her words sparked a ripple effect. Fedra nodded slowly. "I came on this show to show love, to show family, not to tear people down for ratings." Even Papoose, normally silent and calm, spoke up. "If y'all don't let this moment breathe, then y'all don't deserve to film it." The camera panned to the control room where production heads were watching, jaws clenched. This was no longer taping, this was a takeover. Then, all eyes turned to Yandy, who walked back to the center stage and stood beneath the glowing arch. She was trembling, but her voice had never been stronger. "I thought silence was safety, but it's not. Silence became my shield, and that shield turned into a wall. I shut out the truth to protect what I loved, but instead, I damaged it." The room was still. Even the cameras felt like they were holding their breath. Erica stepped beside her. "That's the truth. That's what we need, more of this." They didn't hug, they didn't cry. They stood shoulder to shoulder, to women who had once been enemies, now allies in survival. Mendeecees rose next. "We're not perfect," he said, "but tonight, for the first time, I feel free because this isn't the end of my story. It's the part where I start again. And as a crowd, live or digital, watched in silence, something remarkable happened. There was no applause, no dramatic background music, no fade to black. Just three people who had finally taken off the masks and let their scars show. And that was more powerful than anything ever scripted outside the studio. The air pulsed with energy. Fans had gathered in clusters across the lot, holding handmade signs, chanting names and refreshing their phones for live stream updates. A wave of chatter rippled through the crowd every time the door opened. Every time someone spotted Yandy, Erica, or Mendeecees through the tinted glass. Social media was in full meltdown mode. Hashtags flooded the trending tab. Hashtag truth and forgiveness. Hashtag unscripted. Hashtag YandyY speaks. And hashtag Mendeecees free. People weren't just watching a show anymore. They were witnessing a reckoning. Inside the control room, producers sat in stunned silence, their headsets barely moving. This wasn't what they planned out. No fights, no hair pulling, no walk-offs, just real emotions. Unfiltered, raw, and more powerful than any scripted scene ever filmed on the franchise. One executive whispered, "We need to protect this moment." Another replied, "We need to broadcast it uncut." Backstage, the cast sat in silence, scattered across couches, water bottles untouched, phones buzzing. Erica walked slowly across the hallway, her heels echoing against the floor. She approached Yandy, who stood beside a monitor showing her own confession on a 10-second loop. Erica didn't say anything at first. She simply reached out and pulled her into a hug. Not for the cameras, not for redemption points, but because she meant it. Yandy held her tight, her body trembling from exhaustion. "Thank you," she whispered into Erica's shoulder, "for not giving up on the truth." Erica pulled back, her eyes wet. "And thank you for finally owning it." A few feet away, Mendeecees leaned against the wall, watching the scene. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, he exhaled without flinching. He wasn't cuffed. He wasn't silenced. He wasn't hiding. The weight of legal threats, relationship strain, and betrayal was still real. But so was the beginning of something new. Something honest. That evening, the trio returned to the stage one final time. The lights were dimmer, the audience smaller, but the weight in the room was heavier than ever. Erica, Yandy, and Mendeecees sat side by side, no longer divided by shame or silence. The tension had melted, replaced by something more intimate, mutual understanding. Erica leaned into the mic first, her voice softer than before. "We've all used this platform to show parts of ourselves, the messy parts, the angry parts, the performative parts. But tonight, we showed the part we usually hide, the truth." She turned her gaze toward Yandy, her expression vulnerable. "I know what I did hurt you, and I won't act like my choices were perfect. But I never wanted to destroy you. I wanted to save you from drowning in silence." Yandy nodded slowly, her hands shaking in her lap. "And I was drowning," she said quietly. "I thought loyalty meant silence, that if I protected him, everything else would hold. But that silence turned into a lie. And that lie nearly cost me the man I love and the person I used to be." Mendeecees' eyes were heavy, full of history and pain. "I never asked to be protected with lies," he said. "I needed the people closest to me to tell me the truth, even when it hurt. I was out here thinking I had a team, but I was being sheltered from reality, and when reality hit, I was alone." The room stilled. Rashida spoke from the sidelines. "This isn't just about them," she said. "It's about all of us. We've been hiding behind storylines and confessionals for too long. We forgot that people are watching to feel something real. Tonight, we gave them that." Fedra nodded. "This is bigger than ratings now." Papoose, who had remained silent most of the night, leaned forward and said, "This is what television should be, not just entertainment, but transformation." The three at the center of it all held hands, not for the cameras, but because they needed to. Erica looked out at the small audience. "We can tear each other down, or we can build something better. This moment right here, this is a blueprint." And when the camera slowly panned out, there were no loud exits, no arguments, no running backstage, just stillness, a rare peace. The audience didn't clap, they just watched, eyes wide, hearts open. Later that night, in the empty hallway near the trailers, Yandy, Erica, and Mendeecees stood together beneath the studio floodlights. Tasha K caught them from a distance, quietly filming, not with a tabloid tone, but with awe, for once. She whispered into her mic, "It's not about exposure, it's about healing." In the following days, headlines shifted. Love and Hip Hop delivers its most powerful episode ever. From chaos to clarity, the redemption of Yandy and Mendeecees. Erica Mena's unexpected turn as a truth-teller. Podcast dissected every confession, blogs posted full transcriptions, and fans created compilation videos not of the drama, but of the honesty. Erica texted Yandy, "We changed the game." Yandy replied, "We changed each other." Mendeecees sent a group voice note. "Thank you both for the truth, for the courage, for not walking away." As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This wasn't the end of their story. It was the first chapter in a new one. One where truth wasn't a weapon, but a bridge. One where pain wasn't silenced, but processed. One where reality didn't have to be performance, it could be purpose. The next season would come. New conflicts, new alliances. But what they gave the world tonight, that would never fade. It was the moment love and hip-hop stopped being just a show and became something greater. Because sometimes the most powerful drama isn't what explodes, it's what heals.